This is our first session of bedroom discussions where we chat while we're in bed about any topic that's on our mind. And you won't see us. You may see us one day, but you won't see us for now because we're just going to talk. And we'll leave it a mystery. And we'll reveal ourselves when we're ready. Won't we?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. This morning, we're talking about mental health.
Yeah.
That just happens to be the topic for this morning. It came about on a sad note when my husband informed me that one of our favorite actors passed away, Chadwick Boseman, of colon cancer at the age of 43. And, it's sad that people are passing away, like Kobe Bryant and stuff like that. But then we talked about the whole pandemic as well. It's been tough. 2020 has been an interesting year, and some people can't handle it. It's been really, 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 really rough on people. And then kids going back to school and then switching to online school because they probably shouldn't have been back in the classroom anyway.
Yeah.
It's just been a lot on people, and I was just thinking to myself, this is it's a lot. It's just a lot. And my husband was just talking about being mentally prepared. How do you prepare yourself for anything in life, let alone a pandemic? Like, how do you get your mind right on a daily basis, day in and day out, even if there's not a pandemic? Like, how do you do your, I guess, mental calisthenics to make sure that you're good no matter what comes in life?
Mental calisthenics. I think there are a few things that play a part in mental calisthenics. I think taking some time to yourself, for example, doing meditation or writing in a journal, something that can help bring you some peace. I think that's always important. But I think it's a little bit more than that as well. I don't think a lot of people realize the things that you eat and the things that you do and how they play a part in how you think and react to things, in your environment. So I think it's important to, make sure that you're eating the right things, make sure that you're exercising, preferably daily, at least 5 times a week. And these things really, can really help you, battle some of these crazy things that happen to us on our day to day. But it's something that you got to go out and do. It's people are gonna have breakdowns from time to time because that's just what life is about. Life just kind of happens sometimes, but are you gonna stop doing whatever that you got to do because life threw a curveball at you? You can't stop just because something gets tough. You got to find a way to get past it. So it's unfortunate that it might sound like being kind of callous about it, but at the same time it's kind of like it's one of those things where if you're not adapting to the situation, then then what are you gonna do? You're just gonna let it beat you up this whole time? Like you can't do that, especially if you got other people depending on you, like kids or husband, wife, whatever. Um, is there are a number of things that you can do to be mentally prepared, but it's just a matter of you got to recognize what those things are to help you to do better for yourself. And I just think a few of those things, like I said, is just finding something that's going to give you some peace, and then eating correctly, and eating properly, not overeating, not undereating, drinking plenty of water.
Cutting out the alcohol,
Yeah,
because
cutting out.
that doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
It would just make you depressed.
yeah, cutting out alcohol and tobacco preferably as well. But and then of course like I said, people don't like to exercise, but it really
But
has a dramatic effect on
it
the
does. And
entire body.
something that I've noticed during this time, since I am at home all day, we have a big picture window in our living room, and I noticed that there are so many more people walking and jogging now
Right.
than ever before. And
Right.
I think it's awesome, but I think it's sad that it had to get to this point
Right.
to where, we're going through, this crisis and people are like, oh, maybe I should do something.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm happy to see, because it's like, just like window watching, just looking at people watching, just staring out the window, and I see so many people, because we're kind of at the end of a dead end street that kind of, when you can't, there's no outlet back here in our neighborhood, so you got to turn around. So I see people walking and jogging. I saw 3 people, like, I don't know, it's like they were sprinting yesterday, and they just kept going back and forth and sprinting to the dead end and then coming back. So I'm like, I've never seen the amount of people that I've seen, working out and walking and just moving their bodies. And it's a great thing to see, but it's like, I never saw it before, obviously, because I was, working. I wasn't at home. I was at the office, so I wasn't home, so I couldn't see. But even when I would come home,
I didn't see it before.
Yeah, I never saw it before. And by the time I got off work and got home, I would go to the gym, and there'd be a few people in the gym. But even in the neighborhood, I never saw people walking and running. Not as many as I do now. And I think it's a great thing. But I just think that it sucks that it had to come to this for people to do this. It's like, you should want to take care of yourself no matter what's going on.
Yeah, you should want to take care of yourself regardless. Again, I think, and we've talked about this before, I really think that 2020 is a super huge opportunity for everyone. And I think the biggest thing that we can do is do some self-reflection. I mean, I think that's part of your mental as well, because you have time on your hands now. For many people, you have time on your hands now. You can really reevaluate. You can reevaluate your actions over the years if you want. But I'm thinking more so of like, what's going on right now, and how you can improve yourself and improve your situation in this time, because right now we have no idea when it's going to change. So again, this is the time to adapt. This is the time to try to change what your situation is. So I don't know. I think it's a really big opportunity. Yeah, a lot of things suck with we can't do certain things that we used to do, but there are a lot more things that we can do right now, and I just don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah, I agree. Some people are complaining 2020's been the worst year ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on what you're going through, because we're all going through our own little personal thing, which is every day anyway, regardless of what's going on. Right. But I know that this doesn't make it any easier, because we're facing something a pandemic that technically hasn't been faced in over 100 years, right?
Yeah.
So we hadn't seen it in our lifetimes. Maybe a centurion has, if they're still alive. They've seen this before, but we haven't. Being in our late 30s and early 40s, we hadn't seen anything like this. So for me, it's been a year full of surprises and excitement for me. For me, I could possibly say that 2019 was a sucky year, because I had some crazy things go down for me back last year, if I want to compare, but that's just my personal experience. So, everybody's days are different, but I think as a collective whole, it has been trying for everyone. And, it's just, it doesn't help that when you have somebody close to you pass away, or a celebrity that you really liked, pass away, right before this pandemic got too crazy. We had Kobe pass away unexpectedly back in January. So, everybody was like, oh man. And then things started going haywire around February, March with the pandemic, and everybody was like, what's going on? It was just, it was different.
Yeah.
And then it's an election year, and that's crazy too, because we're like, who's going to come in office next? It's just, there's a lot of things that are up in the air right now. And I think it's scary for a lot of people. Yeah. For me, I'm not necessarily scared. I'm just like, whatever happens, and whatever goes down, we have to just proceed accordingly to however it pans out.
mean, that's really all you can do. I mean, at the end of the day, doing the best you can is all you can do,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why you need to make sure that your mental faculties are up to par, because you need to be able to, roll with these punches that, may seem to come out of nowhere, but at the same time, you should be able to control the things that you can control, and you can control the things that you do. So once you start, learning to control the things that you do, which is i.e., your behavior, then you'll actually realize how resilient you are to a lot of the things that just seem to be happening. A lot of people think that, things just happen to them. Well, you know, I'm not saying that things don't happen to you, but at the same time, I don't think a lot of people realize, the situations they may create for themselves as well. But being mentally tough, being resilient and ready for whatever challenges come about is also really important. And you know, your mental health is the key to all of it. It's the key to how you respond. But I think you need to make sure that your body is physically ready for any changes as well.
Right. We always say, you can't control what other people do, but you can control what you do. People can do certain things all day long, but you can control how you act towards the situation.
Yeah.
You can either, be level-headed about it, or you can act like you're crazy.
Yeah.
People always say, well, she made me do this, he made me do that. I'm like, no, you chose to do that.
Right, yeah.
Just because someone is acting a dunk, you're acting crazy, that doesn't mean you have to match them pound for pound with your stupidity.
Right.
You could easily walk away from it,
Yeah.
or just, would be like, okay, whatever, but people always try to place the blame anywhere but on themselves, because people don't like to take responsibility for anything, unfortunately. And I might step on toes, but it's true. People don't like to take action for things and responsibility for their own actions. From little kids to grown ass people, they don't like to take responsibility. And they always say, well, he did it and she did it. I'm like, people can do stuff all day, but it's up to you to control how you react to the situation.
Yeah.
If somebody makes you mad, you have I feel like as an adult, as kids, kids are still trying to figure things out. But I feel like as an adult, if somebody makes you angry or pisses you off or does something and you think, they were wrong, you have, I think, the responsibility as an adult to sit down and, like he said, evaluate the situation and think about it. Like, I could either beat this person up, or if it's not that deep, I could let it go.
Right.
Or whatever. It's like, I think there should be that time of reflection, those 5 seconds of reflection before just reacting. Because a lot of us, it's just like, I guess we get so caught up in the moment, depending on what the person did, and we're so angry, and it's so quick that we don't even think, and we sit here and punch a person. And I'm like, well, why did you do that? Did you take time to think it over first?
No, they let their emotion, rule them in that moment. And I'm not saying that you can't let that happen from time to time, but I think it's really important, especially as we just grow in life. Like what you got to be mindful of the example that you're setting for the people around you, especially the younger people. You need to show them that they can deal with their emotions in a proper way. And I'm not saying you need to go around being a robot or anything like that, but I mean, again, like you said, if someone makes you upset, like, your first reaction, even if it is visceral in nature, like you feel like you may want to hurt them or something like that, you need to catch yourself. And because, like, this is another human being, so if your first reaction is to hurt that person, you really need to take a inventory of, like, why is that your first reaction?
Right. Take a couple of steps back and like breathe it out quick.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I try not to let too many things bother me, especially when it comes to anger, because it's just a very consuming emotion. So we just need to be a little mindful about how we react to situations, and realize that not every situation warrants a huge amount of energy dedicated to some reaction that we're probably going to regret, in the next few days or hours or whatever.
9 times out of 10, we end up regretting those, just off
Those
the cuff things that we do.
Emotional outbursts and stuff
whether
like
we
that.
say something to somebody or whether we physically do something to somebody, we always end up regretting it. We always do, because it was just something so quick and it wasn't thought out properly.
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of definitely mental strength to be able to sit there and catch yourself in the moment. And it's not something that people can, learn how to do overnight. It takes it takes years of practice to learn how to do this. Yeah. But those of us who have learned, are in the process of learning and catching ourselves, for me, when I'm learning how to, stop myself from being upset or sad about something, I love when I can catch myself in the moment. For me, it's a personal victory. Because I can sit back and I'll be like, all right, I caught myself. Right. I stopped myself, because, probably I could say 10 years earlier, I wouldn't have done that. 10 years earlier, I would have acted out on that aggression or whatever that feeling was. But, being older now and a little bit more mature, it's just like, oh, thank God I caught myself. Phew. Yeah. So for me, I take that as a personal victory. And then I feel good that I did take those 5 seconds to just sit there and think about it before I reacted and did anything or said anything. And in the end, it's way better than just going with your first instinct of saying something you're going to regret, or hitting someone, or just doing something that you're going to regret later on.
Yeah, I agree. Excuse me.
But yeah, that's pretty much all we have to say for today. So that was our first session discussion about mental health. I think it's important, not just now, but anytime. Pandemic or no pandemic, mental health is and always will be important.
I thought about, going a little bit deeper when I mentioned food, but I was like, I don't know if that's the time for that kind of discussion. But I will say this: I think we need to be mindful of what we're putting in our bodies. We need to really realize what types of foods that we're putting in our bodies. I'm not going to sit up there and tell you to stop eating meat or go plant-based or anything like that, but you got to be mindful that a lot of this stuff that we eat on a day-to-day basis doesn't sit well with our bodies because it's super processed. So what I will say is that we should be trying to eat more foods that are good for our bodies, so our fruits and our vegetables and things of that nature. But yeah, I think that's a conversation for another day. But that
and we
does
have
play a big part.
Absolutely, we'll talk about that in another video because diet and just health, that's another monster to deal with altogether. So, but whoever's out there listening, we appreciate you guys listening to our first topic in bedroom discussions, which was mental health. And hopefully you guys enjoyed what you heard. Leave any comments or anything if you agree or disagree, right, wrong, or indifferent. We don't care.
Right.
We just love to hear people's opinions. We won't take offense to it.
Exactly.
We have pretty tough exteriors and interiors, so we're cool. We just like to hear what other people think. But hopefully you guys will listen to whatever our next topic will be.
Oh, and we should have said this at the beginning, but if you like what we heard, hit that like button and
subscribe if you like the topics. So I know this is only the first one, and you're like probably thinking, "What is this? We can't even see them. We don't even know who they are." But like I said, that's the mystery of it.
Yeah.
And, but again, we hope you like it, and we hope to see you again next time.
All right.
Later.
Bye.